Hello, everybody. Good to see you. I think that I'm live on LinkedIn and YouTube for sure. I am trying to be live on Instagram, but I'm not sure it's not doing its thing. So Instagram is a newer feature with StreamYard, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and it takes a little bit of extra steps. So I was trying to get that connected, but I figured, hey, it's showtime. Let's just go on LinkedIn and YouTube where I have more followers interested in this anyway. So sorry, Instagram. If you're here, great. If you're not, that's okay. So first and foremost, good morning or afternoon or whatever it is. Wherever you are, let me know in the comments. Let me know what the weather's like here in East Tennessee. It's like doing that weird spring thing where sometimes it's warm and sometimes it's freezing cold. So I got really excited and I planted a bunch of things, and I am concerned that they may not make it through the freeze, but that's okay. It's an experiment. So anyway, okay, looks like we're not going to be live on Instagram today. That is a-okay. If you are on LinkedIn or YouTube, let me know in the comments. I would love to talk to you. As I have mentioned before, if you've been here or if you've taken my course on LinkedIn Learning, I love StreamYard and I love live streaming for the number one purpose of connecting in real time with your audience. So live streaming is not, you're not going to live stream for reach. What I mean by that is most live streams aren't going to go viral. You are not going to have those like short form video TikTok experiences with live streaming. Live streaming is here to go deep with your audience. It's to connect more. It's to answer questions in real time. And I have seen the power of that in so many different ways. For me, it's been really fun. I'm newer to this side of the camera. I've been behind the scenes for 4 years on different live streams where I've really seen the benefit for my clients, which is why after all of these years of knowing it, I finally was like, okay, I, Shelby, am going to finally do this side of it because I have seen relationships get formed that turn into real money. And I think that it's a wildly overlooked tool in social media today. Lots of us are constantly questioning, is this really that person's content when they got some cute video going on? Is this something that they saw somewhere else? Is this, you just get more of a personal interaction with the person, with the creator, and you get to actually connect as if you were having a conversation. So first and foremost, if you don't know me, I'm Shelby. I am a live stream producer, and I like to refer to myself as a content traffic cop. So I am helping my clients things get in front of the right eyes at the right time, but I am not creating the content for them. Most of my clients' content comes from an hour-long live stream, which is why I love it, because they join for about an hour on LinkedIn usually, and they teach us something awesome. And if you join live, you get all the goodness. But my team and I take their hour-long live stream and we pull out like the nuggets of wisdom that they share in that hour and make it more digestible, more easy for people to consume in different ways. Because like, sometimes you're able to join the live stream. Sometimes you have a million things going on in your life and you just never get around to watching it. So when there's a carousel posted about what they talked about, or maybe one of those short form, less than a minute long videos, you can consume that content differently. So it's just kind of a fun way for them to get their actual thought leadership, is that what they call it? Like what they're good at. out of their mouths and into the world. And then my team and I are able to kind of take that and make it that fun, digestible content that we all like to consume. So first and foremost, I like to share my wins and my fails. I have not been making my guests do this. So I've had 2 guests on this year, but last year, if you were with me, you saw that I shared every month something that I was excited about and did well on, and something I did not so well on. And so I figured we just do it quarterly because I plan to do a solo live stream once a quarter. So first and foremost, my biggest win of the year so far is that my producer is dancing in the background with me. We're very excited about this. I published a course on LinkedIn Learning. Here's the QR code. It's all about all of these things. So I get a lot of people who ask me how I make StreamYard do the things that I make it do. And I am super excited that it is now in an hour-long course on LinkedIn Learning. Put on 2x, people. It'll be 30 minutes. I promise it's worth it to just know the platform in and out before you live stream, so that when you show up, it's professional and it's doing what you want it to do. So for me, for example, I'm putting this QR code right here to my course because I want people to take that course. So if that is something you're interested in, putting your own QR code, your own website, your own offerings, that is exactly what I'm sharing and talking about today and in the course. My fail of Q1 would be probably, I'm very excited about this. My team has grown and it has been so awesome. And it's been such a blessing that I never saw coming. But y'all, I had no idea it was so hard to A, be a leader, and B, onboard people, and C, do taxes, and all of the things that come with business ownership and growth are surprisingly difficult. I myself never thought I would complain about that, but here I am. I'm like, okay, all of these new skills that don't really apply to live streaming, to Notion, all of those, I'm like, I'm good. I can explain Notion, I can explain StreamYard. That's great. What I am learning is not as easy as kind of onboarding people on my team, making sure all of my T's are crossed and I's are dotted. Is that the phrase? Anyway, so that has been my kind of fail of the Q1 so far. Okay, so I'm going to share 3 parts to this conversation. Please chime in if you are here live so I can make sure that I'm answering questions that are relevant to you and what you have questions about. So first and foremost, if you're here in the chat, let me know what part of content creation you struggle with. So I've made it a little bit easier. You can do 1, 2, or 3 in the chat for what you struggle with producing content. 1 being just writing the caption, the if you're doing long form posts, the writing portion of it. 2 being the recording portion, finding the time, getting in front of a camera, making sure your setup's cute, all of that. If that's something you struggle with, give me a 2 in the chat. And then if it's the editing, post production or post recording, if it's the editing of the video that you struggle with, let me know, because I have been trying to produce different types of content aside from just live streaming. I love live streaming, but I find that I get really caught up in the editing portion of it. I want it to look perfect, and I redo it, and then I never post it. So this is why I love live streaming, because you make your studio look beautiful, and then you show up and you hit go live, and you only have to update the studio every once in a while, and make it, do the things that you want it to do. So yes, I'm with you. 3 is hard. I know the editing portion is really hard. So hi, James. Good to see you. Let us know, is it the writing, recording, or editing that seems to really take a long time for you or you struggle with? This is why live streaming is great. I think it's pretty funny that people who don't produce recorded video seem to be nervous to produce a live stream, but I would say it's the exact opposite. If you hate recording videos of yourself, live streaming is the easier option. I know that sounds crazy. I know that you're not going to believe me, but I want you to try it, because you don't have to watch yourself back. Like, if I don't want to watch this live stream, I don't have to. If I'm editing, I have to watch myself 5 million times, and it is so uncomfortable. And it's like, oh, so when I go live, it's much easier for me because it's like, great, done. Don't have to overthink it. James says, editing for me, but I don't mind it. Cool. See, some people are my producer, and she's my sister-in-law, Natasha. She's great at editing, wonderful at editing. And I think that's like a very niche skill in today's world, a little bit. So anyway, no hard script. Everything is on the fly and exciting. Yes, this is why I love live streaming, 110%. So if you're struggling to produce content consistently, try live streaming. So first and foremost, we are going to get into the behind the scenes of live streaming. What does it take? How do we do it? So if you are here, usually you're on LinkedIn with me. LinkedIn is kind of the platform I'm on the most. And the thing about LinkedIn is, as of right now, it requires a third-party streaming tool. So StreamYard, which is my preferred software, is a great one, but there's Restream, and there's even an option to use Zoom. I do not recommend the Zoom option. It's confusing and kind of clunky. So I would say go with StreamYard or Restream. Both have been great. I'm going to be a part of a conversation in about a month on Restream, somebody else's podcast. And I'm really excited to see the updates that they've made since I've checked them out, because I'm going to be honest, I've been like in the StreamYard camp for like the last year and haven't looked at Restream for a very long time. So I'm excited to be behind the scenes on that one. So that's what you need to know about first and foremost. What makes StreamYard cool and why I love StreamYard are these overlays. So what an overlay is this picture that lays over the video. That's what the term means. So a overlay really helps brand your content and make your live stream stand out from the typical, like, oh, we just went live and now I'm like just awkwardly looking at my camera thing. This kind of helps it like have more of a professional feel to it, look nice. And the sneaky thing, you can promote, like I mentioned. You can promote with a QR code. These have been created in Canva, and they're super easy for me or my team to update every month. So, like I have clients who go live every week. It's super easy for us to just switch a few things out, switch the title out, and it still looks nice, professional, and branded. So that is my favorite part about StreamYard. Here are the overlays that I recommend. So you need to have one to schedule your broadcast in StreamYard. This is also a thumbnail is another word to use for it. But the thing that most people don't do with this scheduling overlay is that you can start your stream so much smoother. So a lot of times I see people get on here, they push go live, they're looking in the corner to make sure all of the check marks are doing the thing, and it's a little bit awkward when they're starting. How I start my streams, and you probably saw, was by putting this on. And then I put on a transparent overlay like this. And while my video is playing is when I switch. So it's very smooth start, intro video if you have one. StreamYard also has options for you automatically in the platform. And then this transparent one, and then myself behind the video. When the video ends, it's me or the host already with the pretty overlays up, which is wonderful. Another thing that I will add later on in this stream, I'm going to talk about what to do when things go wrong, but you're going to want to remember all of these for when the things go wrong. So to schedule, to start, to promote, that's this transparent one, and then to end the broadcast. So at the end of the broadcast, I put on one that has my face and a QR code. I'm not going to put it on now just in case it signals to people that the broadcast is ended. It's not, but you will see it at the end if you hang in there with me. So that is the behind the scenes of StreamYard and why I think it's so valuable for just like quick content creation that still looks professional. The biggest missed opportunity I see is this QR code function. Because if you're like me, you might not like to talk about your offerings, your courses, whatever it is. Let the overlay do the talking for you. If you have something that you're trying to promote, maybe an upcoming launch of some kind, let it already be there. So A, you remember to talk about it, and B, if you forget, it's still there for people to scan and be like, oh, what is that? So that would be my biggest tip to anybody who's starting live streaming. Okay. Do you have any questions? Please be sure to type them in the chat as we're talking, because I want to point out that the whole purpose of live streaming is so that we can connect and answer questions in real time. So please don't hesitate if there's anything you're confused on. If you have any suggestions, or maybe there's some things that you like about live streaming or don't like about live streaming that you've seen, please let us know in the comments, and we are here for it. James says, QR codes are an awesome tool to share additional resources. I started using those in season 2 of our live streaming, which is awesome. I've also seen people use it for like freebies. So like if you have some sort of download that you want people to download, maybe get a email address, that email marketing kind of thing going. This is also a really, really great tool for that. So let me know how you're using them. Okay. Second part of this stream I want to talk about is the on-camera portion of it. This is new for me. I am going to tell you, my tips come from a place of being behind the scenes versus being on the camera. As I decided to start doing my own show, I realized a lot of these are much easier said than done. I had been telling my clients for years, like, oh, do this, do that. And then once I was like the one that's actually on the camera, I was like, oh, I see how it's like a little bit different when you are the one in front of the camera having to remember all of the things while you're live streaming. Let's see. What does your view look like while live streaming? I appreciate you may not be able to show us just now. Honestly, let's see if I can show you right now so you can see behind the scenes of what StreamYard looks like. Tosh, I am going to, you good? You good if you're on there? Okay, cool. So I will share my screen because I am always the person that wants to see exactly what is happening before I actually do the thing. Okay, let's see if this, ooh, that's like very Inception-y. Can you see this? Let me make it a little bit bigger. Let's see. Oh, wow, that made it even worse. Okay. So this is kind of what it looks like. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's an easier way. Not really. But this is basically what StreamYard looks like behind the scenes. Let me know if you have other questions, but the layout is pretty user friendly. You have a comment section, which is y'all coming through and like commenting. You have a banner section, which is this, how to host a live stream. And then you have brand, which is where you have the overlays, and the private chat for where you have you, me, and right now it's Natasha, who's my producer in the background. So hopefully that helps. I also have an option for you to join me for like a 15-20 minute debrief on StreamYard and for free. And if you want to do that, like please DM me and I will show you behind the scenes when it doesn't look quite chaotic as I'm streaming the stream. You know what I mean? So let me know. And I'm an open book when it comes to this stuff because I am the same when it comes to like wanting to see the software before I actually use it. Let's see. James says, on camera tip, he has lighting and sound are important. I have had guests that looked like they were in a dungeon. Yes, we're way too quiet. I have learned the hard way with this one too, that again, it's easier said than done. I have been sending a PDF to all of my guests since like 3 years of what looks good, what sounds good. And then I found when I was the one on camera, I was like, oh, it's actually pretty hard to make yourself look good and sound good if you're not used to doing this. And there's a lot of trial and error that goes into it. Dave Burse has a wonderful LinkedIn learning course about how to create a studio. It is so fun to watch. I loved it. It made me laugh. And I still need to implement a lot of what he said on it, but it helped the whole like setting up a good space to record situation. So his name is Dave and last name is Birss. If you want to look him up on LinkedIn Learning, he does a great job. Okay, so first and foremost, as the host on camera, connection. The reason you are live is because you want to talk to your audience. Do not join a live stream and just talk to your audience. We are talking with our audience. That is the point of the live stream. It's not supposed to be a presentation or a video that can kind of be pre-recorded. Connect with your audience all that you can. Like sometimes you have a good following and people joining in the chat, and sometimes you don't. But either way, you want to make sure that people feel comfortable to ask questions. Maybe it's not this one, maybe it's the next one, but just try to keep that at the front of your mind. I have joined some great live streams that people have presented great information, but they've ignored people in the chat and they've not answered questions, and it didn't make it a very inviting place to be. That kind of defeats the whole thing that we're doing here with live streaming. In my humble opinion, I think you should be first and foremost connecting with your audience, second, providing value, and then third, it's creating content. Like that should be kind of lower on the list of things that are important to you, in my humble opinion. Let's see. James says, also ask guests to put their cell phone in do not disturb and give your dog a bone to keep them quiet. James, I cannot tell you how many times I've had a barking dog in my live streams. And I'm always just like, it's all good. Like that is why we're just going to give some people some grace. But yes, I agree that's a funny one that always pops up. Okay. Tips for the host, your resting face. While you are talking to your guest, try to have an enjoyable face to look at. I know that is like kind of harder to do than you think, but I have had so many situations where I wanted to repurpose like a section of the live stream, and I've had the face just like, it just kind of looks like not friendly, and like it's hard. It's hard, especially when you're talking to somebody and you're listening really intently, but try to keep in mind that resting face. Try to make it enjoyable and warm and all of those things as you are listening to your guest. Let's see. James also says, start the questions to keep them at this. Yes, I love this portion. Sorry, I didn't read the whole thing. I read it in my brain. When you're in StreamYard, you can start individual comments, and that helps keep like a list of like important things that you want to talk to. I use this function so much as a producer because some of my clients have very large followings and they're not able to read every single thing. Also, it gets really hard when people are having conversation back and forth in the comments, and they don't need to read the conversation between the two attendees, but they do have questions that are kind of buried in there. So you have the option in StreamYard to star important comments, which is great, and you can go back to whenever you want to. Okay. So next thing would be the eye contact with the camera. I admittedly am not very good at this yet. Keeping your eyes at your webcam versus your screen is kind of hard because obviously you want it to look good, but you also want to see what's going on. So just keep that one in mind. Eye contact the best you can to your camera, not to your guest, not to your presentation. And then the last one, sorry, almost sneezing there. The last one would be an outline. So as you can see, I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to talk to you about today, and I created a loose outline. You don't have to have the Canva presentation. You don't even have to have anything on screen for this, but having an idea of what you want to talk about is going to be really, really important because people's time is valuable. And if you're showing up and you don't have an idea of what you want to share, it can feel like a waste of time, and then it's less likely people will come back the next time. So try to keep some form of loose outline. I recommend having about 3 different like main topics, and then having like some questions or thoughts to go with each. The biggest mistake I see for on-camera things, not waiting for your audience to hear a question. So when you are on StreamYard, you are like, what is it, like 10 seconds, I think, behind what people are seeing on LinkedIn. And I would be curious about Instagram now that it's a new feature here on StreamYard. I think it's a little bit more behind. I might even want to like test that out now that I said that out loud, because it'll take a minute for you to hear what I'm saying right here. Yes, we are live. Yes, it is in real time. But it's like 10 seconds, not real time. Okay. So when you ask a question as the host, wait before you decide that nobody heard you or nobody answered. I always recommend having your own answer to the question. So, for example, like I did earlier, I say, what part of content creation do you struggle with? Here are your 3 options: writing, editing, and recording. I think I did those out of order, but anyway. But then I, Shelby, will talk through what I find difficult, which is the editing. I hate watching myself a million times. I hate like almost having it right, but not quite right. I think I can kind of get stuck up in like what I want it to be, and it's not doing the thing that I want it to do. And then I get frustrated or I get interrupted and I stop. So I always have that kind of antidote or that thing in the back of my mind as I am talking to you. I have that story to kind of fill in the space between when you heard me ask the question and if you wanted to respond in the chat. And then after I'm done with that 10-second-ish like conversation, I'll look over to the chat and make sure I'm acknowledging anything that comes through. So last and final one, we're almost to time. I usually try to keep my solo episodes to about 30 minutes. The last thing about live streaming is what to do if things go wrong. Dun, 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 dun. Everybody needs to listen to this portion of it. If you listen to nothing else, this is the portion that you want to know, because you never want to be on screen not knowing what you should do. So first and foremost, I recommend that you have a producer. I have been guilty of this. As Natasha knows, I was like, it's fine. I don't want to add another thing to your list. I will go live by myself. No problem. I talked for 20 minutes without anybody hearing me. I was just having a conversation with myself, but I didn't have anybody on the other side to tell me, Shelby, we can't hear you. And I was like, oh, strange. Like, nobody's really talking to me today. Whatever. And then I ended the stream and I played it and I was like, oh my goodness, nobody has heard me this whole time. Okay, let me see. I got a question coming through. Do you have control over comments appearing on screen? Yes, as you're seeing right now, I literally just click on the comment and it shows up right here. And it's really fun. I love having people's faces pop up here. It kind of gives us a good little group to talk to. Laura, thank you for being here and thank you for saying that. She's been on screen of a live stream that I produced behind the scenes. So I appreciate that compliment very, very much. But yes, you want a producer. If you are live streaming frequently, I would recommend, even if it's like your neighbor's kid who needs a couple extra bucks, or you're like just some extra human who can tell you if things are going wrong or help you if your internet fails. Huge. So common problems that happen with live streaming. Things don't connect properly. When you hit that go live button, something doesn't connect the way that you want it to. StreamYard allows you to live stream to multiple platforms at once. So like I mentioned earlier, I'm live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and I tried to be live on Instagram and it didn't work today. If I was worried, I don't have a huge following on Instagram. I love posting on Instagram. I don't have a huge following and most of them don't care about my like professional world. So I'm like, whatever, it didn't work. If I was very concerned that it didn't go live on Instagram, I would have my producer behind the scenes messaging with the StreamYard team and figuring that out in real time while I was live and professional to my other platforms. That's one thing that happens. Another thing that happens is the internet fails. At some point, you might be in a different place. You might be traveling. You might be doing something else and your internet ends. Most of the time you can jump back in. A lot of times you can't. And when you can't, this is why I recommend those earlier overlays that I talked about, because what I do as a producer, if somebody's internet fails, I will put on the intro overlay or the scheduling overlay like that. Then if it is not working, I will put the end overlay on and say, okay, end stream. But it gives you a little bit of a mask while you are trying to problem solve or while you're trying to get back and reconnected. Without having to end the stream, start a new stream, anything like that, you have kind of a buffer for problem solving. So overlays, overlays, overlays. That is what will save your bacon when things go wrong on live streams. Here is the list again of the 4 that I recommend if you want to make note of it. You could also go to shelbymerriweather.com where I have talked about them, or look at my course where I have them as well. Just as a reminder of what to do, because it's always nice when at the end you can just put that overlay that says thanks for joining, and people go, oh, I missed it, versus people seeing your frozen face for however long. We had one live stream where we couldn't end the broadcast. I don't know what happened, and this was years ago. This won't happen to you. I think StreamYard has worked through this, but I could not get it to end. I hit end stream, end stream, end stream, nothing. But because we had the ending overlay, which I'm about to put up in a minute, people knew that the stream was over. And so they weren't waiting or watching us very awkwardly behind the scenes try to figure it out. So overlays have saved me more times than I can count, and it makes things still look professional. If you have any questions, please either leave them in the chat here, DM me. Like I said earlier, I'm an open book. I want to see you succeed on live streaming. I think that it is a great option if you are busy, or if you just don't enjoy the content creation portion of social media. You can have really fun conversations with friends that produces content for you without having to think too hard, edit, rewrite, pay attention to those trends, all of those things. Again, I believe that live streaming is more about depth with your audience than reach. This is where we're creating relationships and we are moving things from social media content stuff to more like Zoom calls and DMs and things like that. I've seen it work for so many of my clients, and I've also had it work so well for myself. And it's just been a good thing. It's been a really huge thing for my career to be behind the scenes and also to be in front of the camera. I will admit that finally pushing myself to actually have Shelby show has made a huge difference in the opportunities that I have had come to me in a business way. So thank you so much for being here. I'm a few minutes over, so I'm going to wrap things up. Like I mentioned, let me know if there's any questions that come up for you, and I hope that you will try live streaming in the future. Bye.